when I was creating it, I was looking for spaces that were dead. And that's the whole reason for it was called cultivation, is these spots, that was actually kind of a scary underpass that people went through all the time. The lights were dim, there was not a lot going on it. And with art, I was able to cultivate that space into a lively, more fun, even a safer, a happier place than this dungeon of a dead space.
Public art is important for a number of reasons, but it really helps create a distinctive sense of place. So when you see a piece of public art, you feel like you're somewhere that you're supposed to be. Public art is important to any community because of instilling a sense of pride in the community.
It preserves the culture of the place where you are. It communicates a message about the place.
And showcasing history, showcasing the future, and really highlighting our culture in our city.
For example, right behind me is Chihuly's tallest tower in the world, and it was one of the first iconic pieces of art in downtown Oklahoma City. Yeah, we had bronzes sprinkled around downtown, but this was a new piece that people knew and could recognize, and once finished, it quickly became a symbol of, I don't know, from anything from the tourism to magazine as this is Oklahoma City.
I think one of the great things about public art is that it's so accessible to everyone, even people that may not be seeking it out.
Like everyone that walks by a mural, they don't necessarily have to have this knowledge base of fine art or be invited to a show. It's for the public in general, and everybody can enjoy that art.
Also, when public art is interactive, it's a great entry point for people to experience art and interact with art.
You don't have to go inside or pay to see it. It's really important, and it also, I think, adds to the cultural richness of a city.
They bring up socio-political questions that a lot of people don't want to actually discuss and talk about, and we have an area to have those conversations in a way that is open and academic, and it's still an environment that is not exclusive.
There's studies that go on about you being in nature and being around beautiful things, and the more you're around those things, the softer your heart is, the happier you are. And you could be having a bad day, and then you see a beautiful mural, and it changes your whole attitude.
It's a sense of collaboration that can only make not only humans better, but our world better.
Public art is important to me personally because it certainly gives me that outlet to share what I've nurtured over the years into appreciative audience, and that's the most rewarding factor there.
Well, we want to create a place where people want to live, and I think having a high amount of attention to the culture and to the creativity and to the sense of design is very, very important. So whether you're talking about a building or whether you're talking about a piece of public art, I think what people see when they visit your city from a public art standpoint is very, very important, and it's likely to be one of their key takeaways when they go back home.
I mean, some of the most beautiful cities in this country actually are beautiful because of their public art.
When people talk about public art and tourism, they align together. A lot of people travel to places and they may not know people there, but by seeing the art that's located in that place, they learn a lot about the people who are funding it, who are working there. It's something that helps define us as a community.
Let's talk about the biggest art scene in the world, Oklahoma City.
As an Oklahoma City transplant, I'm not a native, but I'm an Oklahoman by choice, is what I like to tell people. Coming downtown, we lived actually downtown when we first moved here 6 years ago, and there was not much going on the weekends. So to see kind of the growth and what's happened in the downtown area just since we've lived here, I think is so important to the city and so important to a vibrant downtown, and public art has so much to do with that.
I grew up in Oklahoma City in a time when there wasn't a ton of public art in our city. I mean, downtown didn't really have a lot while I was growing up, and so now to see a resurgence of murals like in and around the Plaza District and in Midtown and on Western, it's like really exciting.
Society has changed, a whole new generation. But it's coming along just fine with many of the new programs that are coming out today.
It's almost as if when you go to Europe and everywhere you look is something inspiring. It's really fun for me to walk around Oklahoma City and all of the districts and see new things and be inspired.
The tide is turning here where the Chamber of Commerce is beginning to come around. We're seeing a lot more public art murals being installed. We're getting people to feel a sense of civic pride in the creativity that Oklahoma City has and in the artists who here are working in our community.
Recently, on the business and city side of things, they've added a full-time arts liaison to really help bridge the gap between the artists or organizations like ours, nonprofits, and the city permitting process. And then also there's been ordinance changes in some of the language that the different districts use. And so where in Bricktown we used to see that public art could only be historical in nature or provide some sort of cultural significance specific to that district, now they've really expanded it and opened it up to tons of ideas in the community.
There's some kind of weird dynamics here, perfect chemistry for embracing the arts and really, we're kind of like pioneers on a new frontier here in Oklahoma right now with art.
It's a really special time in Oklahoma City for the arts amidst state cuts and things like that and what may be happening in the school system. I think that a lot of organizations are really pulling out all the stops.
We've got artists working in all kinds of media with multiple kinds of experience, from extremely internationally renowned and well-educated to a lot of kind of scrappy DIY, investigative underground artists. I think it's really amazing, the diversity.
But one of the things that I really love the most about our community of artists in Oklahoma City is the support that we show for each other. There's very little of that competition, the feeling of competition amongst artists. It's really more about supporting each other and seeing your success as my success.
We've seen a lot of incredible collaborations come around through the arts in the last couple of years. For example, the 9th Street mural, The Braid, had 3 different artists submitting an idea for one cohesive theme, and they each were able to express their individual styles in an incredible way.
I think that the city of Oklahoma City and someone like Robbie Kienzle, when you look at the work that she's done through the Public Arts Board of Oklahoma City in conjunction with the Oklahoma City Arts Council and the city of Oklahoma City, you look at the downtown bridges and underpasses. That's a downtown bridge and underpass. Every city has them, right? Well, Oklahoma City has them, but they have them covered in art. And not just art, but really, really good art from local artists across the state. And when you see that type of care and that type of pride put into something as simple as an underpass, I think it speaks to your community. I think it speaks about your community.
Another cool thing is that our city has a 1% for public art ordinance, meaning anything that's constructed above ground, 1% of that construction cost has to go to public art.
It's something we were doing with maps in the 90s, but it has now been placed by resolution in the council into law. And so it is now the standard for MAPS 3 and presumably going forward.
Every day when I hear about something new that's happening, whether it's on a really big scale or small scale, on private property or something really huge that's been commissioned by the city, I just am blown away with how thoughtful artists are and how talented they are and the level of collaboration and how much they support each other.
Well, isn't it cool that the Oklahoma City Museum of Art does things that, of course, they meet an audience that no one else is meeting with the biggest shows and with the famous artists.
Yeah, I think it's great that we have this venue that is bringing in those really big, exceptional shows, and that we have a place to go see those, and that artists can be influenced by seeing that work as well, and to see that kind of play out in the work that the local artists are making is really great.
And I really think that for many people who do appreciate art, like the museum meets them where they are, with very traditional paintings on the wall, or with things that kind of fall in line with that. Like without the museum, none of the others may be even possible,
Right.
because it is art history.
Yeah, and I think even beyond the visual art that they show, their film program has been huge for the film community in Oklahoma City and in Oklahoma, that there is a reputable venue that's screening these films that we're not going to see anywhere else.
That's totally
in
true.
Central Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So besides the Oklahoma City Museum of Art, one of my favorite things to do is to walk along Western Avenue and see all the murals. We like to walk our dogs, and it's one of my favorite parts of Oklahoma City, and it's relatively new.
And that's your neighborhood too, so
Yes.
you can just have fun and check out all those little hidden jewels in alleys behind certain walls, and all of a sudden there's a mural.
Yep.
That is one of my favorite things. I am super excited about Plaza District. They really are cranking out a lot of new murals. You can visit every week and there's a new mural there. And how that works, unlike other districts or locations, is that they really have a curatorial team, and that team selects what's going up in these certain spaces. So you can have a dinner at the Mule, or lunch and a few beers across the street, and then wander into some alleys. It's not dangerous. It's cool, I promise. And there's something new every visit.
Such an incredible venue for street art that, of course, didn't exist before. And those artists were often relegated to the darkness of night because there was no venue for them to create the kind of work they wanted to create without being punished for it. You're right. And so I love that, artists took the initiative to make that happen. And I know that it was a process to get that through, to get the permitting from the city and everything, that they have now created this precedent that now that they've worked through the system, it makes it easier for other artists who come along behind them. They're really paving a way.
Let's talk about our friends at Current Studio.
Yes. So you and I were both at the
Birthday party.
The birthday party,
Right.
the one-year birthday party, which was a really interesting exhibition of sort of collaborative projects. They invited artists to do a collaboration that allowed them to create a project that they wouldn't be able to do on their own, which is part of the spirit of Oklahoma Contemporary.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I like how neighborhoody Current Studio is. They're really embracing the neighborhood, but also connecting different artists, bringing them in, engaging with the people who are there, and also trying to just bring different people together to experiment.
Well,
Really
that's what
exciting.
I really like about the way the Oklahoma City art scene has evolved. As someone who grew up here, even though elements of the neighborhoods were there, they didn't have that sense of community.
Right.
It wasn't let's all get together and celebrate what we're doing as a group. It was very much silo based. And so
Right.
if you look at Paseo and the Plaza and 23rd Street, we've dramatically changed, not even talking about downtown and Automobile Alley and Midtown, the entire way the city is structured almost.
Right, right. Art has become an engine for economic development, for neighborhood development in a way that I don't know if it was true 20 years ago.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Going from the museum into a component of contemporary art, like how grateful I am for Oklahoma Contemporary.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because they're bringing us amazing work too, but by living artists, and that's significant.
Yeah, to be able to see that work and then often also hear directly from the artists because they're bringing those artists in for talks and programming that goes along with the exhibitions. It's an opportunity that, without them, we may have to travel several hours to do something like that.
Yeah.
In Dallas or at Crystal Bridges.
Kansas City. Yeah. No, I love Oklahoma Contemporary. And the fact that they have such a strong educational component that backs up what they're doing with contemporary artists is great.
It is. Yeah. I mean, it's really, if you are an adult wanting to learn an artistic skill outside of an academic institution, it's really one of the best places to go for really consistent, ongoing, high quality arts education.
I completely agree.
Speaking of art and museums, I just recently learned of, was it 21C?
21C,
Yeah,
yeah.
Museum
Yeah.
Hotel. That really surprised me when I was contacted to perform there.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
said, the museum, I said, well, did the museum start a hotel or something? Because I thought it was connected. And lo and behold, it was a whole different thing. And I understand they have, it's more of a franchise or
It
something
is.
like that?
It's a small boutique hotel. They have locations throughout the country. And it's curated like a museum. They have a head curator and assistant curator, and they rotate out the collection and put up exhibitions. So it's not like it's just a stagnant show. It's always changing.
We've now got 21C as our new neighbor,
Yeah.
so that's been a lot of fun. We can walk over there and have lunch and also see their incredible collection. So we love having them as a neighbor, and we're going to be doing more stuff with them, which is exciting.
That's exciting. And they have rotating exhibitions much like we do. Every visit you see something new.
Yeah.
Plus they have a great bar and restaurant.
And don't forget the purple penguins.
The purple penguins, yeah. They just kind of magically appear.
You were mentioning the underground, you spoke of that earlier?
Yeah. So there's a tunnel system below Oklahoma City's downtown area, and it's sort of.
Never been there.
Yeah, I know. Nobody. Well, not nobody, but it's not a very well-known place. It's a system of tunnels that goes between a lot of the major buildings downtown. But within the tunnels, they have really interesting lighting displays. So it's sort of like this not so secret underground place that not a lot of people maybe know about.
The places that kind of push the envelope locally in that same capacity. You know, of course Current Studio is trying to do that, but we're a fledgling organization. We're just in the beginning of our development, whereas there are some standards like Art Space at Untitled and IAO, which have been around for decades and are really trying to expand our experience with art.
Yeah, they have always provided venues for art that we wouldn't see anywhere else, and for local artists to have a place, quality venue where they can go and present their work and have an audience and get that response is incredible. And they have been the kind of I don't know, what would you call it? The flag bearer of continually trying to encourage artists to push themselves and do something new.
Yeah. Well, of course, in totally different ways too.
Yes.
Like where Art Space at Untitled is this beautiful warehouse space, and how the way in which that space can be developed through either proposal, but also through invitational, and the way in which they've had programming that has pushed collaboration or our experience with art is amazing. But then IAO, being really one of the only democratic institutions left where you can submit through an open call and be selected based upon your idea, it's such an important component of our overall health of community.
Are there events that you guys look forward to throughout the year, like special festivals or things that you enjoy doing? Yeah.
Festival of the Arts is the huge one for me, and it's something that I've come to as a kid, and to watch it evolve, and artists who started out in small community-minded ways being on that bigger stage, the engagement of having people create art while they're there, combining visual and performing, and it really just draws so many more people.
I love having it right in front of the Civic Center, right in front of the museum.
And that's where it started. It moved away and came back to its roots. It is kind of a problem for me because I tend to eat lunch there every day. But it's one of the biggest arts festivals, and its timing is perfect. And they bring in international artists from all over the world, and it's a pretty intense competition process to get in. And plus all the live music and great fun, just right out our front doors at work.
Yep. Yeah, I think the Downtown Arts Festival, for a lot of people, it's their one real arts experience that they have every year, because it's free to attend. It's so family friendly. It happens at a time of year when you want to be outside and go doing things. The food component, of course, is a big draw. But I love that it provides a kind of a well-rounded arts experience that's free to anyone. And hundreds of thousands of people come and experience visual art, music, performance, food, everything.
Well, and I love, in addition to the one-off annual events, that there are so many things that happen regularly. You've got Second Friday art walks, both in Norman and on the Plaza. You have Paseo on the first Friday, and so really, H&H, when that gets back up, you have all of these engagements that on a monthly basis, I can go out and experience art for free, which is
Right.
big, and wander in and be with other people in the community who are sort of like-minded.
What else is going on?
Well, I live walking distance from the Paseo, and I know that they are not new anymore, but they're still one of my favorite neighborhoods in Oklahoma City. And to be able to walk there for their, First Fridays is still one of my favorite things to do. It's something I've done since I moved here. And while there's all sorts of new fun things going on, we can't forget our tried and true Paseo First Friday Art Walk.
It's true. It's Oklahoma City's first arts district.
I'm amazed I live in the Paseo, and every first Friday, the mobs descend. I mean, it's amazing to see the amount of support. Hundreds of thousands of people come out every time, it's great. We're beginning to get that culture of go out, support local arts, support local artists, see what's happening. And I think that's across the spectrum, like you said. It's not just the visual arts. We're seeing it with film, we're seeing it with music, with performance dance and theater, so all very cool.
Well, the stature has changed so much that this is just part of what you do for entertainment in Oklahoma City.
But one thing I really like seeing that's happening around here is the movie industry.
Yeah.
I really like that. It's more and more enterprising, more diverse.
This may not be related, but all of our new music venues that are popping up all over Oklahoma City. And so it's not a massive arena concert. It's bringing in the ones that I really love that are a little smaller, a little more intimate, but it's bringing in new acts and new talent that probably wouldn't have stopped in Oklahoma City earlier without these new venues.
Really, every weekend, often it's not that there's one thing to do.
There's
You have to
many
choose
things to do.
between and decide, where you're going to spend your time, which is great. I mean, that's a sign of a vibrant cultural scene.
Art Moves is an initiative from Arts Council Oklahoma City that seeks to bring arts and music downtown.
It provides an outlet for people to experience and see art in the context of their day-to-day life within downtown Oklahoma City.
In the same way that public art can really kind of surprise you, and sometimes you find it in unexpected places and it makes you see that place in a whole different way, Art Moves does the same thing.
And it's a really great way for people to see art in action without necessarily going out specifically to an art event.
And it provides a different kind of noise to the downtown. Like whether you're near a construction site downtown or a lot of corporate buildings where there's no noise, you can go to an Art Move site and you can find something stimulating and exceptional.
It could be an artist really creating something new on site that the downtown public, those on their lunch break, can engage in. It's casual, and so you just maybe hop to the museum and you see someone making something or performing something.
You might be downtown and then you see someone who's playing the saxophone and playing the piano. It's an unexpected quality that makes it really special.
A lot of musicians who would have never had a voice locally to be heard. It introduces us, we as musicians as a whole, to the community, gives them the opportunity to hear us and learn about who we are, and gives us a chance to explore as well.
I think it makes a huge impact on your day, just as an individual, but it also makes you, stop and notice things that maybe you wouldn't notice before.
What they were able to do was take art from a very traditional place like a museum or an art gallery, and to take that and transplant it into the middle of a place where people are working, and just that working environment, and to try and offset that environment to get the attention of those people and make them more aware of it, to where it brightens their day, it increases their quality of life, and it inspires them to want to seek out more, hopefully support more of it.
But it also employs working artists, and we have about 300 different artists on our roster. That ranges everything from dance to music to performance art. We've got poets, we've got really any kind of art form you can imagine.
Art Moves gives the local performing artists the opportunity to expand themselves, expand their horizons, and perform in environments that they've possibly never considered before in the past.
Downtown Oklahoma City Incorporated made a decision a couple of years ago to really make public art and placemaking a priority. And part of what we do is keep the streets clean and safe, We do landscaping, beautification, security, some basic services to help our downtown be vibrant. And I think public art was just a natural flow, the next level, basically, of things that we can contribute as a nonprofit to the betterment of downtown.
I'm Stephen Grounds, and I'm Navajo Uchee Creek and Seminole. I'm a muralist and a painter.
I'm Nicole Hatfield, and I am Comanche and Kiowa, and I am also a painter and a beginner muralist. Myself and my friend Stephen Grounds decided that we would try to apply for it, and we kind of came together and discussed ideas, and we came up with one, and we just went from there.
It has a specific concept, which is the empowerment, but it also has a stylistic approach that's very street. So I think that's what we were trying to accomplish with this mural.
Speaking for myself and most of my work, I try to bring awareness to different Native issues and especially women's issues. This whole mural is kind of based off of a poem by John Trudell, a Native activist. And when I read the poem, I thought, wow, this is perfect. It's about women, it's about respecting women, and just empowering women. And so it just really based on that poem for myself, it really inspired this mural.
The first in what I would hope to be many more murals that are Native American based here in the city. My name's Dusty Gilpin, and I'm a mural painter. I have a retail shop in Oklahoma City called Tree and Leaf, and paint murals, and I screen print and do art and have fun. So this mural is a part of the Artist Invitational with Downtown Oklahoma City. Last year they put out like a call to artists, and I made an application and a proposal for this piece, which would be thunder inspired. We just thought that if we did something around the playoffs, we could kind of garner some positive energy from the city, and there were some complications with where it was going to be, but we ended up like figuring out a way that we could put it on the basketball courts and kind of draw everything together. They gave me a lot of artistic creativity or artistic freedom with what I got to paint, which was fun. So I got to do the Russell Westbrook and the Steven Adams, and it turned out really fun.
My name is Leigh Martin, and I'm a fiber artist and nature enthusiast living in Oklahoma City. So Contained Aesthetics is the title of this installation, and it was a proposal that I submitted to Downtown OKC Inc. As part of their Artist Invitational program. Basically, I kind of got the idea for this just thinking about urban vegetation and how resilient it is, but how easy it is to overlook a lot of the time. You can walk around downtown and see vines like this. This is a trumpet creeper vine. And I had a lot of help from volunteers on knitting the leaves for this. Had several knitters within Oklahoma City and Tulsa and Lawton that contributed leaves for it, which really helped me as far as making this a bigger installation. And then I would take them and attach them to the stems. They're reinforced with wire, and the installation itself was placed over a span of 8 weeks. Since this is kind of across from Marriott Gardens, they had come over to the reception that we had with Downtown OKC and donated this awesome plant placard for the installation. So it kind of matches the labels for the plant material that they have over in the gardens with the name of the installation and everything. So that was a great extension.
My name is Amanda Zoey, and I'm an artist and jewelry maker in Oklahoma City. So I went on my very first ride on the water taxis, and it was really awesome. I was thinking about the whole time how you kind of have a captive audience on the canal. If you put art on the canal, you kind of have a way to have this public art exhibit that people can be taken to on a boat. The Wild Illuminate was a project sponsored by Downtown OKC Inc. and I was going through a lot of turmoil in my life, and so the piece is a lot about life, death, and rebirth cycles and the animal symbolism attached to that.
The biggest question I would like to ask artists is, how would you improve downtown through art? We know how we would improve downtown through whatever it is, development, economics, whatever that is, pedestrian experience, biker experience, but we want to know how artists would improve our downtown through their own creative minds.
The Artist Invitational is really important because there aren't a lot of organizations or projects in downtown for artists that have a really substantial budget.
And it's basically like a grant that allows different artists to make proposals for public arts in Oklahoma City.
It's a great program. Downtown OKC is provided to local artists for creating public art, having the funding to do it, and kind of helping with the process as far as getting permits and things like that. I guess probably a lot of people think about murals whenever they're thinking about public art, and this installation, I was hesitant to apply because it was such a small project, but I'm glad that I did because it's been a great experience.
So we would love to see artists to think outside of the box. It doesn't just have to be a mural on a wall, which if that happens, that's great too, but they could solve a million urban issues with their creativity, and we would love to see suggestions like that come across our plate.
I'm Robbie Kienzle. I'm the Arts Liaison and Program Planner for the City of Oklahoma City. So a lot of the mural ordinances define that it's a work of art that's either painted directly on a wall or a structure, or applied directly to a wall or structure, or anything that would contain property like a fence. And that it would be a work that doesn't advertise anything, it doesn't violate any trademarks, licenses, copyrights, and it's the work of an artist.
So again, the first step for the permitting process is identifying that location. Once you have a property owner on board or business owner, the rest is fairly easy. The best contact you can make is the Arts Liaison in the City of Oklahoma City, Robbie Kienzle. She really will hold your hand and guide you through the entire process. She's really wonderful about that.
So the process that you would go through to undertake a mural would be to get a permit. So depending on where you want to locate the mural in the city, that kind of defines the process you would go through. All murals are reviewed by the Arts Commission. They're the advisory body for the entire city on artwork that goes up in the public sector. And then if you're in a design review district, you have to additionally go through design review. And then ultimately those two would then lead you to a permit.
I hear a lot of people they have some resentment against the system or the so-called bureaucracy of it. But I've found that what it does is it secures, the arts, and it makes sure that the art is produced and put on display in a quality fashion, which in the end can only work for us as artists.
The permitting process is important for a number of reasons, but really the most important is the community buy-in that happens from it. There's arts commissioners who are appointed by the mayor who then get to have their buy-in in the project on top of the design reviews, in addition to the property owners. So that is incredibly important for a piece of public art that's going up. And then it protects the artists, it protects their rights, whether or not there's a maintenance plan in place so that we can make sure that the art stays around and sees the best light it can possibly see while it's up.
We go through all these hoops and talk to the city and plan them and all this stuff, and most people don't even understand what all goes into it. They just one day see there's a big mural out there. So I want to give a big props to a lot of people in Oklahoma City that are putting up all these murals and investing in these murals to happen, because it's not an easy process.
So what would an artist do to go through the reviews? An artist would prepare an application. There's an application packet online that shows an aerial view of the site with the measurements of the wall where the mural would go. Also an elevation that shows what the mural might look like on that wall. The artist makes a statement. There might be a title of the work and a statement of what that artwork means. It's a very important part of the education and engagement of the public when they see the work. and the artist's bio. One of the things we want to make sure is that, an artist that maybe is only used to doing small gallery work isn't going to undertake a mural that might be 25 feet by 50 feet and they might not be ready. We want to make sure artists have experience to carry out large-scale works because they're very different than what they might do in a gallery. Who would insure the artist while they're working on the site in case they got hurt? Is there any property insurance if the work got vandalized, and who would be paying for that? And then also information about an art marker, and that would be up to 10% of the area of any mural can be used for the title of the work, the artist's name, the sponsor of the work, and a statement about it. So when somebody sees the work, they can understand what it means.
Have a good plan. A plan helps, and if your plan is executed well, it will be received by the review boards and the city, and it will expedite your process a lot faster. Of course, they'll require you to have a plan anyway, so.
The shape of the building, to me, lent itself to something sprawling across it. The first thing I saw when I saw the shape of the building when it was blank was vines. But my girlfriend, especially at the time, was very into octopuses. They're kind of a fascinating animal that I've learned about since I've done this. And it just kind of clicked, those two things clicked. And this is all I saw after I came up with the design. I never saw or considered anything else besides an octopus. Every time somebody asks me why an octopus, it's just an odd feeling for me because I literally carved everything else in the universe away except an octopus in my mind. So I don't know what else would possibly be on this building besides an octopus.
I use my phone as a tool in everything that I do, every piece that I create, no matter how big or small. And as I'm creating it, especially a mural, a lot of people are going to see these pieces of art via a photograph on social media. And so it's important that not only does this thing look cool in person, but it also has to look cool in the photograph. It's a great way for me to step back off the mural. I pull up my phone and I look at it through my phone, and if it seems as if there's too much information, visual information, if it's too, busy, then I'll use that to kind of determine how to simplify the design, and if there needs to be more information, then I'll kind of use that as a tool also. So I always think that if it looks cool in the camera, then it's cool.
The greatest challenge was taking the scope out of it. I needed to make it more intimate because there's no way to stand in front of something this big and see it. It's like standing in front of a pointillism painting or something. It just doesn't work. And so I needed to make it intimate. And that was a challenge, and I couldn't figure out how to do that until I figured out putting these symbols into the freckles allows a viewer to stand in front of the piece and, I hope, look at a painting while they're looking at the painting. And once I figured that out, it was just the biggest challenge after I solved that one was just testing my own work ethic.
The way that an artist proposes a work is very much based on the site itself. They look not only, let's say that the public art is going to go with a building, but an artist might look at the entire block around the building and see how are people going to move to the site. Are they going to walk? Are they going to bicycle? Or are they going to drive by? At what speed? What are their views? They might take a lot of pictures at a site to see what the views. They're making something very site specific. And also, what happens in the building, what kind of business is located there, or what kind of use does the building have? Is it a high retail area? There are different kinds of art that an artist will make.
If I had my choice, I like public art on buildings that looks like it's painted on a building rather than painting the building. The color of this, to me, lent itself to a canvas pretty well. And I wanted it to look like this octopus was on the building rather than I used the building to make a painting of an octopus. So it had some unique sort of features that I tried to incorporate, like I made one of the overhead lights, one of his eyeballs, and I wrapped a tentacle around the OG&E pipe. And I tried to use the building whenever I could because I like the idea of art sort of taking over a building kind of like a kudzu vine, other than the building is just a big canvas.
Let me just speak from experience. I know that when I was younger, I had the gumption, the ambition to take on a giant project or to paint a mural, but I don't think I would have had what it took to really carry through in a quality fashion. So, you know, I'd say first and foremost, you know, do your preliminary research. Go take a mural painting class that the city offers, and become informed about what it is you can do and how to go about making that happen logistically. And then, you know, just being realistic about it. I mean, Oklahoma's got some high winds, and it's got, you know, hot temperatures and all kinds of stuff. So
the other advice is just to be patient. It takes a little while to work through all the kinks with weather in Oklahoma, time periods. It's not something that happens overnight.
My advice to different artists or artists that are trying to get into public art is, I mean, first, like, draw all the time or paint all the time or whatever it is that you're into. Do that all the time. And then be professional. There's a lot of artists that are not professional, that don't do stuff on time. They don't fill out proposals right. They don't, you know, double check their spelling on things. Like, be professional, and that will make you look, like, it'll make you stand out.
Favorite piece of advice to give to artists as a curator, very practical, is that it's really essential to treat your art practice as a business, and to have a website that has professional quality photographs on it that will allow me to find you and see your work and contact you. I say that to artists in New York, and I say that to artists in Oklahoma. If you're not out there and easy to find, I can't bring your amazing art to my exhibitions.
Having been a business owner and also an artist, just be on time, be a person of your word, and pay your people. Like that's like all you need to do in order to be a success in anything in life.
Professionalism that really is warranted in terms of how you present yourself, how you present your art, and doing it in a way that is ethical and responsible, not only for yourself, but also for other artists. So when you break rules or when you do things through improper channels, that really hurts everybody within the community. So professionalism really kind of becomes a really highly important component of a career.
Attend as many workshops, be part of a professional organization that provides these, and learn how to market yourself, learn the business practices of being an artist.
Also, taking the time to learn those other business skills, like knowing the downtown review process for a mural or working with the commission. There's a lot of stuff that they don't teach you in art school, but if you want to get your art, especially on the scale of public art, you need some good advice from people who do this regularly.
I encourage artists to think about themselves as advocates for their own field. I think oftentimes artists are surprised people don't understand what they do, but artists need to know that every sector has to explain what they do and show again and again how it's valuable.
Kind of a cool thing to be an artist and to bring art to the people and to make sculptures and to make paintings, but it's also kind of, you know, it's kind of a social duty. If you will. It's kind of to be a good steward to the arts and the forward movement of art, we need to really hook people up and really do it right, and you know, not have high expectations or always demand a lot of money or this or that. We just need to do it because that's what we're here to do.
One of the most important things for me as an artist and a curator in trying to realize big ideas that I have of my own has been collaboration. It's been key to the things that I've accomplished in my career. Collaboration has been key to them. And I think that it can feel daunting when you have a big idea and you think that there's no way I can accomplish that, like it feels too big for me, that it is possible, and collaboration is how you make it happen.
To seek support from your arts community. There are a lot of people that, you know, even if you don't have an official mentor, there are experienced artists out there that have a lot of information and insight to share, and there are a lot of people in Oklahoma City who share it willingly, and so it's a really valuable resource.
get in contact with us, with OVAC, and see what we have to offer. Like I said, you don't have to be a member to take advantage of our programs. We can get you in touch with people, come to our events, we can introduce you to artists. We're really here for artists and to serve you in your careers. So if I had any advice, it would definitely be to get involved with us.
It's very easy to complain, but it's much more productive to take action. And passively complaining isn't going to get you anywhere. I think that the most important thing to do is to always be doing whatever you can to move forward.
Don't complain about systems, or don't complain about being broke all the time if you're not willing to find, some avenues to get your art out there. There's definitely places where you can get involved, and it's not that difficult.
Everywhere you go is pretty dry kindling waiting to be ignited, and someone wants to help you do it. And if you've got an idea and you believe in it and you think you've got the talent to express it, if you want a show, ask for one. Walk into a gallery and ask. If you want a mural, ask for one. If you want to project light onto a building, just go do it. I mean, this town right now will help you realize what you're working towards. They really will. I mean, I couldn't have done this without several people really going to bat for me without me even asking them to.
Put yourself out there, expose your art to the business community, ask them to buy your art. Don't ever be afraid to ask them to do that. Your art has value, your creative talent has value. Don't short sell it.
I think artists should always be pushing boundaries and helping push boundaries for other people who push the boundaries. So just inspiring public art by creating your own art.
I'd say the biggest thing is to take risks and don't be afraid to try something new. I think we can limit ourselves as artists. I know that I'm an artist, and if you don't take risks and do something different, you'll never know. And go outside of your comfort zone and continue to challenge yourself, be a lifelong learner, always do something different.
If you have a dream and a goal in your heart, don't become deterred by other people's ideas and plans for how your life should unfold. I mean, surround yourself with wise people, take their advice with a grain of salt, but ultimately you know what's right and what you need to do.
Believe that you have something that's worthy to be heard or has viability, and just continue what you're doing. Just stay on the path.
That you got to really pump it out. You do a lot of stuff, and with quantity comes quality. It's easy to look at people and think, oh wow, this person's just top shelf and really knows what they're doing. Well, they got to that point with lots of hard work and just doing it constantly.
One thing that I think is often overlooked is how there are different ways of being an artist, and what is success to one artist can be totally different for another artist, and that neither is right and neither is wrong, that we can all have different approaches to how we make or how we present or how we price our work, and they're all valid and they're all part of what makes a very well-rounded community, and I think that that's something that we don't talk about enough.
Tap into the networking opportunities, the gallery openings, the talkbacks at performances. Really try to invest, and especially for artists who are working in a particular discipline, say photography or dance, try to go out there and meet some other artists who are working in a different discipline. See if there's an opportunity for collaboration or an opportunity to just become friends with somebody and engage in conversation.
The City of Oklahoma City, as part of our cultural plan implementation, we carried out an artist support study. And so many of the things, the ideas I have to help support artists are found in that study. It's called the Artist Support Study, and it's online. But it was all about, the collective groups of artists supporting each other and motivating each other, and then having these opportunities to learn new things that help support their business of being an artist.
Constantly be trying to, learn and grow as an artist and never stay satisfied with where you are. I think there's so much opportunity for artists here. Oklahoma City has a great balance between cost of living and just the opportunity for growth in the arts.
There's never enough. We'll know when there's enough. When people stop turning out to things, I think is when there's not enough. When there's too much. There's not enough spaces. There is room for more, and I think my advice to artists and people who are organizing art spaces is to take risks and to don't be afraid to try new things and do more things and just keep making things. And I think there's always room for more.
I just don't think there is no worst case scenario for trying something as an artist. If it doesn't work, you get a pass because you're an artist and at least you tried. And I just wish more young artists knew that. Just do it. There's no safety net needed. Nothing's gonna happen to you.
Don't limit yourself on what you think can happen because a permit is in place or not. We've seen lots of examples where artists came to us with ideas that didn't exist in the permitting world yet. And so just with working with the city of Oklahoma City on projects like that, new processes have been formed.
The lifespan of public art is typically short. And as an individual, as a mural painter, I kind of think that's fun. That's part of it. Things go up and the sun's gonna bleach them, or somebody's gonna paint over it, or it's gonna, like this one, the wind's gonna blow it down eventually. And it kind of gives a time, I mean, it's important because it's short-lived, you know? Like people will drive by and see this for maybe 6 months, 8 months, and then it's gonna be gone. And, you know, I hope they kind of miss it. I hope that it's like a sweet thing that they get in the time. And
as far as street art and mural art and things like that, I've never looked at it as a permanent thing. I've always looked at it as it's almost like an action. It happens, it'll be up for a while, and then I expect it to deteriorate or to be changed or to be added to.
Well, so with this project, I went into it with the expectation that it would, degrade over time. And being outside, I did, choose materials such as acrylic yarn that would weather a little bit better.
I feel like rejection is sort of part of being an artist, and so if you can't deal with that, you shouldn't be an artist. Knowing that your art is not going to be permanent anywhere, I mean, you just kind of have to have that inner strength to just know that's just it's part of being an artist, It's stuff comes and goes. You might never catch on. Your stuff might become, especially if you're a mural artist, it might become defaced or painted over at some point, and you just have to think of it as, my contribution was when I did that project, and I'm gonna continue to do more work.
So science and art, they are very closely related. They have this intrinsic relationship, and to show how art influenced science and science influenced art is what I'm trying to show with the Smart Space Gallery. It brings lots of new ideas. Science brings lots of new ideas into the arts and shows the creative side of science. And you can see that in the galleries here at Smart Space. Soul expression art of the shoe was something that came to me a little while back, and I wanted to show how engineering, math, creativity, draftsmanship all relate, when building something that we wear every day of our lives that we never really think about. It's something that we all have, but we just don't really put much thought into it. And so I did take a bunch of local artists and asked them to show me their relationship with the shoe and create an artistic piece behind that.
I remember after the bombing of the Murrah building, sitting and watching television, and for months afterwards, there were people who were writing poetry. There were people writing songs. There were people doing paintings and sculpture, and they were dropping them off at all of the TV stations. And it was like people reach inside themselves in crisis, and it's always the creative that comes out, and that is the healing part. And so it's there, and we just need to bring it out.
I mean, honestly, my favorite place in the city is to go to the memorial, which I know is really difficult, but it is an important part of our state history, and it's really beautiful.
I will never forget watching there and thinking, oh my gosh, people are just reaching inside themselves to create these things because that's how they deal with tragedy.
The arts are incredibly important to attracting people to a community and keeping people in a community. And one of the things we've studied is the economic effect of bringing visitors to our community. Arts and culture is one of those industries, unlike a lot of others, that really bring new audiences. In Oklahoma, that's led to more than 12.7 million visits in 2015. We were blown away by the numbers, and I think that shows how our economies benefit from arts and culture.
Almost every example of public art that I can think of off the top of my head has had an impact on its neighborhood, the business that it's in front of. Skyline Timeline was at the Oklahoma City University School of Law, and they haven't been in the downtown area for very many years, and so that really drew attention to that school and that district and that area of town just by installing a piece of public art there.
Investment in local art is not just the responsibility of nonprofit organizations. I think that the business sector needs to take the initiative to invest in public art projects.
Taking a look at hiring artists or musicians or performers that do stuff that's maybe not as expected as what you have here, and sort of investing in art and music as a whole rather than just sort of individual groups or genres.
I think a piece of public art, like inside a business, really can change the dynamic of the atmosphere in that business. Your customers are going to come in and see this whatever big piece of art or this canvas or a sculpture outside your business, and it is going to set a tone for what your business is. I think it shows that your business is involved in the community and that it's willing to support the arts, and I think that that is important to a lot of people, and a lot of people choose to shop and patronize businesses that support the arts.
I can send my money to some factory jingle farm in California, and they'll do the job. They'll get me the jingle that I need. Or I can know my role in the business community, and I can seek out musicians and directly license original local music for them. What I'm doing is I'm separating myself apart from my competition, because not a lot of people are doing it that way here right now. But at the same time, I'm creating career opportunities for musicians that don't currently exist. If everybody in the business community understood that one thing, that just if every business went and got their local music for their marketing or commercials or whatever their need may be from local musicians and licensed directly, that's a six-figure shift in marketing dollars overnight. What does that do to an arts community in a city? It's transformative.
I feel like people like Fowler VW and Norman are kind of setting a new bar for what you can do with art. They retrofitted into their budget for their new facility, budget for local artists.
Art is important to the underground because a lot of people walk down here during business hours, and it's a good way to expose them to public art and culture, what them youngins are up to and whatnot. It just makes for a great experience for everybody, and any space that people use, it's great to improve them and make it more comfortable, make it feel more like home.
If it were up to me, I think pretty much every building down here would have a mural or some sort of artistic expression on it. I think it speaks volume to celebrating humans and what's most important to me.
A lot of times we see when a business paints a mural that they see an uptick in sales. Or restaurants that partner with artists when they're creating their menus or doing art inside their restaurant. They see impact from that. The community really likes to support that.
Advice for strengthening and growing the city's art movement. That's a great question. I think really it's all about spreading the gospel of art. And I talk to people every day who might say, I don't really like contemporary art. It's not really for me. I really like playing the banjo, and I sing in my church choir, and I make collages out of photographs, but art's not for me. So I think expanding the understanding of what art and creative practice is, and getting people to realize that no matter who they are or what they do, they're engaging with art probably every day of their lives, and letting them know that it's a big tent community here. I think most of the artists in Oklahoma City, like the other civic leaders, are really interested in collaboration and outreach and listening to what people's interests are and what they think is important. So I think really weaving arts into the social fabric of the community is the way to really grow it.
So we found that the economic impact of the arts in 1 year was $872.8 million. That's direct impact by the organizations that spend money and audiences that spend money.
I think more people need to be involved besides just the artists. I feel like a lot of artists around town feel as though it's just them trying to support each other and not enough people from outside the small circle giving that kind of support. So going to shows, supporting crowdfunding.
Participate, to be out there, to be active, to talk about it, to share.
Buy some art and support local artists. That's the greatest way that you can support the art scene here, is just to get involved, come out, show up, and buy art.
Get involved with it. Make a point to go out and take your family out, or just get out and do it, rather than ignore it and say, oh, I don't feel like getting out. But get out and show that support.
I think that your average citizen across the state is starting to learn about that role as well, and understanding that if they go to a place like the Plaza District and they buy from a local business and they're buying a good or a shirt that was created here locally through local artists at a local print shop, that dollar that they're spending is doing far more than walking into a large box retail store and buying some shirt that you can buy in any city in the United States of America. I think that people are realizing what their dollars can do for an arts and cultural community, and they're wanting to foster and invest more in that.
Even things like arts education are so important because they fill very large gaps in places where we have no other solutions. You know, whether it's developing leadership skills in kids, or helping them define who they are so they can feel better about themselves. And also, you know, it's just very stimulating for souls to have arts.
I think one of the ways in which the art scene can continue to grow is to have more paying opportunities for artists. Right now, there are some organizations that do a really great job of supporting individual artists, whether it's visual or performing or music.
I think there are a lot of artists in our community who are doing really exciting things and always are pushing themselves to try and create something new and do something that they've never done before. And I want to see more of that. I love to see more artists, you know, thinking bigger about their work and not limiting themselves based on what they've been able to accomplish in the past, and taking more risks in their work. But I think what it's going to take to make that happen is having more supportive opportunities for them to do that.
I would like to see a lot more local artists able to compete with some of our national artists. And I know that there hasn't been a lot of opportunities in the past until we had a 1% program.
One thing I would love to see more of is people venturing out of Oklahoma City to see what else is going on around the country. Maybe taking that road trip to Dallas, maybe going out to Crystal Bridges. There's, within a one-day drive, lots of other cities with great arts institutions that I think would help.
We are a growing art scene. We may not be as big as some of the coastal cities, but we've continued to grow. And as Oklahoma City creates more spaces, we're continuing to see more kinds of art.
I think it's really important to think about Current Studio and any art space in Oklahoma City as more is more. We're not competing and we're not trying to conflict with any other organization or any other entity. We see ourselves as a complementary package where what we do is hopefully different than what other people are doing, and that we all are here for the betterment of our community, our art community and our Oklahoma City community.
There's opportunity to do something really spectacular and make a big splash and really make a name and make a statement about what it is that we are, because we can. There's, you know, everybody's not jostling for space, everybody's not jostling for position. Instead, it was like, hey, here's a beautiful idea, and the beautiful idea really rises to the top quickly.
Artists just keep going. Keep doing what you do. Oklahoma City is ripe as an art scene ready to explode.
But the important thing is to keep the creativity coming. Keep these young, highly educated 20-somethings who have something to give to our community, something to relate to when they're in our community.
Moving forward, I would love to see professional artists partner with student organizations and local universities and even young kids and kind of teach them the importance of public art and contributing in that way to the community.
The only thing that I always want to see more of in the future is more opportunity. I want to see more paying opportunities for artists, and I want all artists to feel like they can achieve whatever level of success they identify for themselves. And so I do think that that comes with financial support, and I think that comes with financial independence, and I think that comes with more grants, more honorariums, more stipends, more space, everything that we can do to bolster viability of working artists in our community is the thing that I'm always going to advocate for.
I think I would love to see more interdisciplinary works, more cross-pollination between the different artists, the vibrant arts communities that are operating here, and in general a breaking down of some of the barriers that have been erected between the disciplines. I think that would be really exciting.
Perhaps bringing together dancers and visual artists, perhaps bringing together video art with craft. I think there's a lot of ways in which artists working together from different fields can really bring a lot of synergy.
And I'd love to see some more opportunities for national and international artists to be invited in, and so we can both exchange with those artists about what their ideas are, and we can share what our ideas are here in Oklahoma City and create that opportunity for conversation and dialogue.
I'd like to see the city allow, or rather have a way for temporary art to happen really quickly. Whether that's a projection, a temporary installation. This is new stuff that our city's not used to. It's not actually in our city code. So we don't have really law to speak to this.
With murals, I see a lot of really great original work, and I'd like to see a lot more of that. Recently, we're starting to see a lot of ideas regenerated, maybe some licensed or copyrighted other ideas, and I really think that it helps strengthen our local artist scene to see more original work.
Really excited to see what technology and innovation is going to do. We're already seeing some drone work and lighting and new media, and I'm really excited to see the turn that takes.
Murals get cultivated and they get like kind of built up by the community, and that always kind of shows like what that community is about, what that culture is about in those neighborhoods. So I'd like to see more murals. I'd love to see more sculptures.
I think installation work that's engaging in some way is something that I'd like to see more of.
Something Oklahoma City has, I think, is murals. So we have so many murals around town, so I think seeing more sculptures and things for people to do and interact with would be really neat to see.
I think at the same time, as the city finds ways to incorporate form and function public art into their everyday expenditures. So when we talk about a bike rack, does it have to just be a bike rack made out of metal? Can it be something more artistic and have more form to it?
Think about their work more in those terms of how can their art reach out into the community and make an impact. And maybe it's responding to a specific issue, like maybe a neighborhood is especially dark and that causes a spike in crime. If there were an illuminated sculpture in that place, would that make a difference?
I would very much like the art in Oklahoma City to be an attraction for people to come here, not tourism for when they come here. I don't think people go to New York to look at pictures of the Empire State Building. I think they go to New York to find new experiences, and I want Oklahoma to be that. And if I helped kick over a little domino with this, then I'm as proud of that as I am anything.
Oklahoma City's art scene is very exciting because there's a tremendous amount of energy. There's a great amount of community. People are excited about helping each other out, about lifting everyone up together, which I really like. And I see change happening, and I see people getting excited about doing projects, new initiatives, making the art scene more expansive and inclusive. And when people really want to do that, as they do here in Oklahoma City, they make it happen.
It's extremely exciting to be a part of it right now, and I think of any time in the city or the state's history, now's the time to be engaging with art in Oklahoma City, and now's the time to be an artist, calling all artists, all art lovers, now's the time to jump in.
I'm ready to see those things happen. I'm not willing to move away and let someone else make it happen. I think the more important thing to do is to stay here and create a space.
There's so much new stuff coming around, it's kind of hard to pinpoint anything in specific. Everywhere I turn, I go down to Bricktown, I'm looking at the mirrors here, I'm looking at sculptures here, I'm looking at these buildings, and it's just everywhere. I love it as a whole, so it's developing.
I am really excited by the small organizations in Oklahoma City that have been doing a tremendous amount of work to bring exciting artists and exciting exhibitions and exciting programming to the city.
One of the things we love is that private and public money help make the arts happen. So there might be private donors, private patrons who help support the arts. There's people buying tickets or buying food at the festival that help support the arts. But we also have amazing support at the local and state level and the national level to support the arts. And that public money is an important part of the mix. It helps people who can't afford to pay for projects or art events to come, and it also helps for all the education that happens in our community.
There's a lot of difficulty right now in funding the arts and supporting the arts, and it's time to all lean in because it's something that we never want to lose. It definitely is a public voice and a perspective that artists have, and they see the world differently.
I think if I were to pick out a couple of examples of public art in Oklahoma City, I think you would start with the Skydance Bridge. I don't know that very many pieces of public art have more viewers or participants than that because of all the cars that go down Interstate 40. And what I like about it is that, many of these people aren't stopping in Oklahoma City. They're driving from Amarillo or Albuquerque and they're going to Little Rock or Raleigh. But when they passed through Oklahoma City, they saw something astonishing. Perhaps the most memorable thing on I-40 from coast to coast is the Skydance Bridge. And I want them to leave Oklahoma City with a positive impression, even if they didn't stop this time, because they might stop next time.
All right, so I'm going to ask you a quick question. Have you participated in art moves or familiar with art moves?
Yes, I did. And they never asked me back. Okay, so Dylan and I did a collaborative piece, and we weren't, we do weird art, okay? And so we were just spontaneously creating this piece in a food court, and we put green purple stuff coming out of the mouth of this woman, and I guess that was a little too much for the people eating, and they never asked us back. So it's kind of funny, not funny, but I was like wondering after a couple years, like they never asked us back. I was like, I wonder if it's because we made that piece and they were like, why did they create a girl throwing up during a, but I mean, if you want people to create live art, that's sometimes what happens.
I gotta restart that one. Okay. I can't encourage. Okay.
Art Moves is an initiative,
Can we do that over?
Yes.
So that was my zinger because I didn't know what you had me. Okay, let me think here.
Shop at local businesses, go to Tree and Leaf, support the Plaza District.
I'm so sorry. I could just keep getting tripped up here.
Am I still on?
Yeah, you're still on.
Oh.
I'm going to restart that one over.
Go ahead. Yeah, no.
Can I start that one over because I didn't really say?
Let's start this one over again.
I need to stop saying so. So, I didn't mean to sound better.
Wait a minute, that's one of those moments. Hold on, let me think about it a minute.
No problem. It's like, I got time.
I can think and dream of this all day long, but saying it.
And I lost it.
I think you got something.
Yeah, I had one other thought and it was so good too.
There is an importance in it. I don't know what I'm saying.
You got some good points.
I mean, it's just really artwork's, it's fluff, you don't need it. I have to make it, I have to create it. I don't have any other option. It's something I have to do. It's like some people write, some people run, do yoga, all those things. This is an outlet for me.